Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Mickey, it's so
Shabbat
good to
shalom.
see you.
Yeah, I'm glad I came in time.
Me too.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, everybody.
I
Hello.
My
just
face.
got back to Actors Temple service.
Here I am. Okay.
Hi, Mona.
Hi.
I'm not
How's
Hey,
everybody?
Jesse.
David.
Jessica, it's good to see
Dave,
you.
how are you?
fine.
How is everything, Jessica?
I keep disappearing.
Okay, there you are. There you are. Good.
I just turned the machine.
All right, we're going to get started, everybody. So I am going to mute everyone.
Bring up everybody. I got to see me.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. It was a lovely day, and then the temperature plummeted and it started to rain. But rain is good too. So here we all are together. It's wonderful to be with you. And I see that David Schulman is here, which means that he is at home and I hope feeling much better. And it's lovely to see also the family of Maxwell Hyun, whose bar mitzvah is tomorrow. And so they are with us, and that is wonderful. Hello. I'd like us to just take a moment to put the week away and move into the specialness and the holiness of Shabbat. So whatever you need to do, take a deep breath, maybe get into a more comfortable position since we can in our homes perhaps. Breathe out any tension that is hanging out in your body from whatever was going on this week. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. It's my pleasure to invite Lisa Greenstein and Arthur Hyun to unmute themselves for the blessing over the Shabbat candles.
Okay. Hi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. And now we continue with the Kiddush. If you have a prayer book, it's on page 123. And I would like to invite Maxwell's family to read the English of the Kiddush. Can you see it?
Do you want to read too, then? Wait, I'm bringing in one more.
All right. Hey, it's the young man himself.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctified us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the holy Shabbat our heritage as a reminder of the work of creation. As first among our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You chose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you have given us your holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies the Shabbat.
Thank you so much. I forgot to mention our cantorial soloist, Noni, is not with us this evening. She's off tonight. So I will be kolbo, which means doing everything. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'achata ve'otanu kiddashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue with Lecha Dodi, which envisions the Shabbat as a bride, bringing joy and beauty to our day. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, ki va'orech kumi uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tohola, toch emunei am sigula, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. The Baruch Hu is on page 146 if you have a prayer book, and I invite you, if you're able, to rise. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Leolam Vaed. I invite you to read with me. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. We continue with the Shema, page 152 in the prayer book. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Let's be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem emet. I invite you to read with me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Mi chamocha bayelim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehi lo rosefele, nora tehi lo rosefele. Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei yam lifnei Moshe. Zeli anu ve'amru, zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha bayelim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. V'ne'emar ki yifada Adonai et Yaakov, ugealo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162 if you have a prayer book. Beshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotem berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotem berit olam. Beni uven bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotem berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotem berit olam. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We have come to the tefillah. It begins on page 164 if you have a prayer book, and I invite you, if you're able, to rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, U'mevi geula livnei v'neihem leman shemo be'ava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kidoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Let's be seated. Page 173 in the prayer book. I invite you to read with me. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yir'ah na'avod. we come now to our prayer of gratitude. And so I'd like to invite anyone who has something that you're feeling grateful for today to put it into the chat, or you can unmute yourself and say it out loud. So who has something that they're feeling grateful for today? Diane Schenker.
I am grateful that I have such a wonderful rabbi who cares so much about all of us.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. Modim nachnu lach. Robert says he is grateful for a clean bill of health. That's wonderful. Charlotte is grateful for friendship. Patricia, what are you grateful for today?
I am very grateful, and I also want to thank everyone who have donated to the cause to help the people in St. Vincent. And this that will not only will end here, but it will be an ongoing, even as we go further on into the year and and some time to come, because as we know that the volcano is still steaming over there as they're watching it so, and even going into the hurricane season, we'll also remember them. And I'm also very grateful for this week, and thank you all again for your birthday wishes last weekend. Even though I was not here, I was celebrating it with friends of Crown Heights. So thank everybody for their love.
So grateful for friends and for donations to help others, generosity of spirit and generosity of material things as well. Mary Lou.
I'm grateful for my family and friends and really wonderful neighbors. We all help each other out. We don't get too much in each other's way, but we're always there for each other. And just very grateful that we're all a phone call away from one another for good times and bad. So, and thank you to Beshert, and thank you to you, Rabbi Heidi and Rabbi Pinsky, for your wonderful teachings. And I appreciate Beshert so much, and the services, events, all the programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Karen is grateful that her son is spending Memorial Day weekend with them. Lori Pandolfo is grateful to celebrate Mara's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday to Mara, and wishes good health for everyone. Modim anachnu lach for our health. Lisa, Arthur, and Maxwell say they are grateful to me and Rabbi Pinsky for helping Max get ready for his bar mitzvah, and we're grateful that his bar mitzvah is tomorrow. So everybody come to services tomorrow at 11 to celebrate with Maxwell and his family. I am grateful that we have come to the point where we are going to actually have Maxwell and his family in the sanctuary with Rabbi Pinsky and me, and we're slowly starting to open back up. You haven't received the communication yet, but we have set 2 dates in June for what we're calling multi-access services or hybrid services, where people will be able to come in person if they choose to, or participate on Zoom. That will still be available for anybody who's uncomfortable or who otherwise can't be there, because we want to keep the benefits we've gotten from Zoom at the same time that we want to be able to begin being together again. And so I want to add that I am grateful for the scientists who every day are getting new information about how we can be safe and how we can go forward safely. Gail and Bob are grateful for the beautiful peonies that bloomed unexpectedly in their garden, and for the vegetables that are growing that were actually planted on purpose. Jesse Schulman is grateful that David is home and well, as are we all. Darby Evans is grateful to spend time with her family this weekend. Is it Tamara's birthday? Not Tamara, Mara, Lori Pandolfo's daughter. Um, uh, Alan says, happy milestone, Bonnie, and we are all going out. Hooray for going out. Linda is grateful for a couple of lunch dates at her home with good friends. Anybody else? We can always find things to be grateful for, and we can be grateful that we can always find things to be grateful for, right? All right. We'll go back to our prayer book. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'el lehodot. We continue by praying for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov benecha livarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We continue now with our quiet prayer. If you have a prayer book, there are words on pages 180 and 181 in the bracketed numbers. If you can see the screen, there are some words on the screen, but of course we can always use the words that are in our own hearts. We continue quietly. Iyu leratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of our mouths and the meditations in our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. We turn our thoughts now to those among us and those in our hearts who are ill, who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. I'd like to invite you to put names of anyone for whom you're praying for healing today into the chat if you didn't send the names into the office. I'll also give you a chance to add names out loud if you prefer. We remember, we hold in our hearts and in our thoughts for healing today Jesse Sakharoff, Ira Weiss, Elaine Drucker, Allison Plummer, Patty Ann Cubero, Ellen Belofsky, Meg Goldate, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Susan Sisler, Alan Fremer, George Landberg, Susan Bilecki, Dana Haitkin Nelson, Arlene Rosenthal, Michael Luck, Barbara Weiner, Andy Glantzman, Amy Juskowitz Soonseller, Ira and Deanna Roth, Roz Bornstein, Dolores Weinberger, Ingrid Grosso, Audrey Cohen, Eddie DeAngelis, Richard Cherry, Ira Goldman, Vicki Lightnaker, Sarah Brooks Kamen, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Richie Stein, Jeff Abel, Roz Solomon, Linda Kushner Silverman, Liz Yasuda, Mark, Connie and Paul Steiner, Elizabeth and Garrett Calleberg, Marion Mandel, Anne-Marie Rogan, Monica Beyer, Patty and Erwin Cohen, Judge Milton Platt, Thea Platt Glasser, Sandra and Jay Pastor, Mitchell Pastor, Phyllis Schwartz, Terry O'Leary, Laura Stanley, Mimi Karp, Sharon Zinn, Nicole Moskowitz, Jane Berman, Jeff Hayrath, Elaine Sarfati, Abraham Peck, Beatrice Peck, Richard Zagam, Suzanne Leknos, Cynthia Wilson, Florence Schoen, Karen Eichel, Kyle McGee Sr., Lee McGee Street, David Schulman, David and Wilma Mauser, Hannah Paines, Naomi Rhodes, Jocelyn Josephs. Lorraine Zarrow, Eric and Monique Moisel, Karen Eichel, those members of the NYPD who are harmed and suffering. Marlene Levy, Sal Camiso, Lauren and Ian, Ronald Schechter, those who are suffering from effects of the volcano in St. Vincent's and the Grenadines, women in Jamaica who are in danger and suffering, Joanna Marie, Teresa O'Sullivan, Louisa Espute, Abraham Kalasi, Jimmy Jenkins, Chanel Kamabach, Elena Aram, Janet Torkel, those who have been hurt in Israel in the recent violence and also in the stampede on Lag BaOmer and the later on, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, collapse of some bleachers at a different place of worship, and those suffering from COVID-19 in India, Mary Korchowski, Rita Soul, Joan Lifshitz, Elliot Wolfsey, Anne-Marie Demetro, Mary Lou McGivney, Nancy Kelly, Sunny, Mia, Loretta Migliori, Perry Kravitz, Jeannie Greenberg, Bill McShane, Delphine Wolf, Jackson and Tara Kushner, Shelley Samet, Angel Mateo, Ruth Gordon, Stanley Tenen, David Gershon. Mary Lou?
Brenda McBasey, Brenda Katroster, Eve Heyman, Estelle Altort, Ron Cricky, Laura Cricky, and Susan Vi. Thank you.
Does anyone else want to add names out loud? Okay, we also include all of those who have been wounded in service to our country or Israel. We mentioned those suffering from COVID-19 in India, but also all of those everywhere who may be suffering from COVID-19. Those who have been hurt in recent mass shootings, of which there was another one this week. and those who have been harmed in other disasters, whether natural or human created. If you have a prayer book, the Misha Berach can be found on page 371 in the middle of the page. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's good to be here with you. So on the internet, where some of you may go some of the time, where all of us are right now, there's a series of memes called Why My Child is Crying. And what it is it's a series of pictures of children crying, having temper tantrums, labeled with the incident that set off the tantrum. So it's something I enjoy. So I'm going to share some of them with you just for fun. So the first one, there's a little girl crying, and it says she's not allowed to drink toilet bowl cleaner. That's why she's crying. The second one is crying because a box of tampons is not a toy. The next one is crying because there is no more chocolate left on the spoon. This little boy is crying because it wasn't his birthday. And look at this one, crying because I told him to say hi instead of meow. Oh, the tragedy. This one is crying because mommy stopped my makeover. I wouldn't let him play with my hot curling iron. The slide was too slow. She's not allowed to eat batteries. Because mommy let me brush my teeth 5 times, but drew the line at 6 times. I wouldn't let him climb on the table to eat the fake flower centerpiece. Because she had to wear shoes. Because I bought a new car. I wouldn't let her slap me in my face with the iPhone. Because he wanted turkey on wheat bread, not white. You get the idea. So there seems to be a parallel to these memes of the toddlers crying in this week's Torah portion. Although, that's not toddlers, it's adults, but nonetheless, we read, the riffraff in their midst desired a desire, and then the Israelites wept and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish that we used to eat free in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. Now our gullets are shriveled. There is nothing at all, nothing but this manna to look to. So what are they talking about? They're not going hungry. Not only aren't they going hungry, they're being fed miraculously with manna, a substance created only to sustain them during this time in the wilderness. It did not exist before the exodus from Egypt, and it never existed again after they left the wilderness for the land of Canaan. Furthermore, as Rashi, our commentator Rashi, points out, they also do have meat to eat. In the book of Exodus, the Torah tells us that when the Israelites left Egypt, a mixed multitude went up with them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds. So what are they doing? They have meat, they have food. What's their problem? There must be something else going on. This isn't really about wanting meat or craving meat. And in fact, Rashi says, no, that's not what it's about. They were looking for a pretext. So Rashi seems to believe that the Israelites and the riffraff are the mixed multitude that went out from Egypt with them, that they know what they want, that what they want isn't really meat, and that they're complaining about lack of meat, knowing that they really want something else. I don't fully agree with Rashi. I do think it's really not about meat, but I don't think that the Israelites actually know what it is that they're craving. I feel like they don't quite know what they want. They just know that something is missing. And I think the same thing is true with the toddlers in the memes. As adults, we laugh because the ostensible reason for the temper tantrum seems trivial and silly to us. But there's probably something else going on with the kids, something that they're too little to articulate, whether it's a longing for independence or a craving for control of their little lives or a thwarted desire to understand more about the world. Grown-ups, too, feel longings and cravings that we can't always understand or put into words. Many people feel some kind of emptiness inside, maybe an existential or an actual loneliness, emotional pain from things that have happened in our lives, or maybe just a feeling that something is missing. And so some of us try to fill what's missing with food or with alcohol or with other drugs. Bible scholar Aviva Gottlieb Zornberg quotes Ha'amek Davar, a Torah commentary by a rabbi called the Netziv, who lived in 19th century Eastern Europe. And he wrote in Ha'amek Davar, they desired and they resented their desire. Zornberg says, for instance, they complain about the manna which falls every day precisely because they receive only one day's ration at a time, which forces them into a position of continual desire. As Ramban, Nachmanides, expresses the idea, they said, even the manna that we live on is not truly in our hands, so that we may have the pleasure of seeing it available to us. Instead, we yearn for it and lift up our eyes to God to pray for it, that it may appear again today. Because remember, the manna falls every morning, and the people go out and gather it. And no matter how much they gather, they have only enough for that day. Anything that they have left over goes bad over the next night, and then they get more the next day. And so what Ramban is saying is that the people said, we want to feel more secure. We want to know that we have the next day's manna. I mean, yes, it's coming every day, but who knows, that could stop. And they can't handle the yearning, the anxiety. And so they cry out for meat. We might say that they're looking for comfort food so that they can ignore their anxiety and their yearning. God doesn't seem to be aware of what might be driving the Israelites who are saying they are bored with the manna and want meat. God seems to respond only to the surface of what is happening, perhaps seeing the people as ungrateful, which probably I would see them as ungrateful. Moses sees what the people are doing and is overwhelmed by the burden of leading them. This is a fascinating section in which images of motherhood are used for both God and Moses, giving birth to the people, nursing them, carrying them. These feminine images for God are unusual, And it takes me back to the toddlers freaking out because they're not allowed to drink the toilet cleaner or because their sandwich is on white bread and not whole wheat. As people unrelated to the crying toddlers in the pictures, we can laugh because they lost it over something that seems trivial. I can also sense the frustration of the parents who posted these pictures of their kids. And I remember the frustration and anger when my own children would have tantrums for reasons that made no sense to me. On good days, I understood that tantrums for toddlers are like an emotional reset, and that they have them when they're overwhelmed by the experience of the world. Perhaps in the same way that the intimate experience of God at Mount Sinai was overwhelming to the Israelites, and they needed to replace that overwhelming sensation of closeness to God with desire for simple, familiar, physical pleasure. On bad days, I would yell at my kids when they had a tantrum, which, by the way, did nothing to improve the situation. God doesn't seem to be on a good day when this incident with the Israelites occurs. And in my opinion, God actually doesn't respond particularly well, sending first a huge amount of quail and then causing a plague among the people as they eat it. The Israelites aren't toddlers, although we can draw that analogy for this point in their development as a people. And we also know that toddlers aren't the only ones who become irrationally upset over small things when those small things trigger larger issues inside of us. Adults, too, have unfulfilled yearnings and anxieties, and those can be set off by incidents that look small to other people. I pray for us to have the courage to seek out what our yearnings and desires and anxieties are, to become aware of them and to face them directly rather than trying to anesthetize them. When we do so, we can take away some of their power, the power that leads us to react strongly to small irritations or frustrations, and sometimes then to suffer repercussions because of the sort of outsized way that we respond to those things. May we increase our understanding of our inner selves, and may we have patience with others who seem to overreact to small things. Let us be aware that everyone has yearnings and desires and anxieties as we do. And as Ian McLaren wrote, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Amen and Shabbat Shalom. We are going to continue now with the Aleinu. If you have a prayer book, it begins on page 586, and I invite you, if you're able, to rise. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad. Let's be seated. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us, our loved ones who have died in the past days or weeks or months, or in past years at this time of the year. I have put our yahrzeit list for this coming week up on the screen. If you have names to add for the mourner's Kaddish that you have not sent into the office, I invite you to add those names in the chat. I'll also give you a chance to add names out loud at the end if you prefer. We hold in our memories and in our hearts those who have died in the past year. Fred Perlman, Bob Ira Kleinberg, Dorothea Schuring, Peter Brandenberger, Stuart Paley, Lloyd Ricketts, Ellie Heimlich, Sherry Burns, Terry Singer, Henry Kuhn, Lily Zimmett, Bob Perlman, Ira Berkowitz, Bayumi Mohammed, Amy Zisovic, Mary Holland, Dorothy Webster, Robert Allen Santos Sr., Robert Bonenfant, Barry Strumpf, Judy Epstein, Dorothy Mason, Judy Panzer, Barry Ween, Charlotte Brown, David Schechter, Douglas Maines, Devorah Lewis, Tria Sapir, Jane Evans, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Manny Pastor, Ruth Rubin, Harris Reese, Emerson Berger, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Caroline McNamara, Marion McGivney, Ronnie Turek, Jay Roseman, Michaela Schaefer, Helen Zagerman Schwimmer, Ido Sheffi, Elaine Gordet, Dr. Stephen Kamholtz, Park Shing Lam, Carol Gross, Carol Andre, Robert Serpico, Jeanette Riley, Judy Greenstein, Marty Greenstein, Randy Neff. I want to recognize also the death of Eric Carle, beloved children's author. I have many of his books. This week is also the 100th yahrzeit of the Tulsa Massacre in Oklahoma. I want to include those who died in the mass shooting in San Jose, which was 9 people this past week, ranging in age from 29 to 63. And it's also the first yahrzeit of George Floyd. On our yahrzeit list today are included Sidney Bachner, Lisa Bachner's father, Murray Moskowitz, Teddy Moskowitz's father, Sylvia Radow, Saul Radow's mother, Arthur Goldberg, Mona Goldberg's husband, Lorraine Minson, Lori Silverman's mother-in-law, Samuel Rosenpeak, Roz Baylor's brother, and Cy Trommer, Sam Silverman's cousin. We include also Roberta Kessman, it's her second yahrzeit. Inga Probetsky, Kevin McCarthy, Howard Quastel, Alexander Musel, and Judith Greenstein. Does anyone have other names that they would like to add? Okay.
I'd like to add the name of Sandra Krales, who was a temple member and a good friend, and Michelle Paula Caucus, who was Ilsa Caucus's daughter and died when she was 12. She was my daughter Roberta's best friend.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Charlotte. I see also on the list is Sidney Cloner, who was Rabbi William Cloner's father, I believe. We include also all of those around the world who have died from COVID-19 or who have died from other causes, whether in war or famine or terror or disaster, or alone and homeless on the streets of our cities. The Mourner's Kaddish, if you have a prayer book, is on page 598. And I invite you, if you're able, to rise and join in with the Mourner's Kaddish or to participate according to your own custom. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shemei, dekudisha, berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dam yaran ba'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved wherever they may be. And let us say, Amen. Let's be seated. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael amen. A few announcements before our service concludes. Eric isn't here, I don't think, is he? No. So I'll do the announcements. All right, tomorrow morning, we will have Biyachad at 9:45, but it will be abbreviated because I'm going to need to stop 15 or 20 minutes before 11 so that I can make sure everything is in order for Maxwell Hyun's Bar Mitzvah, which will be during services at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Please join us on Zoom. The family will be in the sanctuary, which will be exciting. On Tuesday, it's already June 1st, so let's just stop and notice that. And at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, June 1st, will be afternoon Torah study with Rabbi Pinsky. On Wednesday, June 2nd at 7:15 p.m., there will be a special Board of Trustees meeting with URJ benchmarking mentor Mitchell Faust. That will be on Zoom. On Thursday, June 3rd at 7:45 p.m. will be session 3 of Oh My God, Can You Believe? OMG, Can You Believe? This is a 6-week course that I am teaching. You can still join. It's session 3. There are recordings of session 1 or 2, 1 and 2, although I forgot in session 2, so the first 15 minutes are missing, but the rest is there. So that goes for 6 weeks, I guess 4 more weeks. The registration information was in the links email that went out yesterday. Then we're already up to next week. So next Friday, June 4th, we will have poetry text study at 7 p.m. and Shabbat services at 8 p.m. You will be very shortly receiving information that next Friday night, we're going to do a trial run of being in person and on Zoom with more people than just the bar mitzvah family. So there's going to be a form coming out and a letter to let you know what the protocols will be. And I just want to assure you that if you are not comfortable coming in person, whether because you're not vaccinated yet or for any other reason that you're still feeling cautious and you don't want to do it yet, we are also going to be on Zoom. And so you can totally participate that way as well. And then on June 5th at 9:45 a.m., we'll have B'Yachad, that's Saturday, at 11 a.m., Shabbat services, and at 2 p.m., a very special event, a workshop called How on Earth Did We Get Here? Israeli educator Rabbi Greengrass, who is fantastic, is going to lead a workshop explaining the current situation in Israel and the recent flare-up of violence. So he's going to help us untangle the various players and events to help us understand what's happened and what's happening. So I'm going to send out a Zoom link for that next week. You can share the Zoom link when you get it with friends if you choose. I don't want to put it out publicly because, I don't want Zoom bombing by anti-Semites, frankly. So any other announcements? Anybody? Okay. So we are going to conclude with our priestly blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha Shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May God lift God's face toward you and give you peace.